Hello, let's go over discussion post line, an element of art essay. So you probably noticed there's this reminder to not turn your work in at the last minute, and there's a lot of reasons why. One, Canvas doesn't always function correctly. Two, you should be getting involved in your class and responding to your classmates' posts, so getting your work in early allows you to be a part of that discussion. That's the whole point of the discussion post. All right, let's get into the homework requirements. So your main discussion post is going to consist of 600 words. You're going to want to respond to these 3 prompts that I'm going to talk about. And you're probably going to want to watch there's 3 different featured artists in this module: Hung Lu, Vincent van Gogh, and Solo Witt. And so you're going to want to go ahead and check out the pages that I created where there's a bunch of videos, and I encourage you to watch these videos on these featured artist pages before you do this homework project, so you have some information to be able to better understand the prompts. And of course you would have needed to pay attention to the information in the learning unit and the required reading, but those pages will also help you with your essay. And you're going to respond to at least one of your classmates' posts with a minimum of 150 words. All of the due dates are available on Canvas. So there's 3 discussion prompts. How does Vincent van Gogh use line in Starry Night compared to how Solo Witt uses line in drawing number 681? And I think this is a really interesting comparison because they use line incredibly differently. So use the information in the learning unit and be sure to talk about the different qualities of line that was discussed in the lecture. So technical, emotional, expressive, and even other ideas were mentioned in the lecture that I hope that are reflected in your response to these prompts. For the second prompt, define what it means when the lines in an artwork have an autographic style. And then I want you to pick one of the artists. You can either pick Vincent van Gogh, Solo Witt, or Hung Lu, and describe how this concept of autographic style applies to their painting methodology and or how the viewer experiences their work. So that's a really fun prompt to kind of get into defining it and then potentially picking one of the artists and talking about how they're using that concept of autographic style in their painting process. The third prompt, what function does the drip serve in Hung Lu's paintings? So you're going to want to refer to the required reading, and there's a link here that would take you to the page that's got information, and obviously then the link to the required reading that hopefully you have reviewed. But if not, you're going to want to go back through, and in the required reading there's a section that specifically talks about, make this smaller, Hung Lu's creative process. So I'm just getting to that part. There's a whole bunch of information about Vincent van Gogh that will be helpful. And then there's a whole bunch of information about Hung Lu and her creative process, the drip as line. So you're going to want to check that out as well. So I'm giving you lots of great information and pointing you to where you can find the information to write a really thoughtful essay for this homework assignment. And then finally, for your peer responses, I'm giving you a couple of prompts to help you with meeting this minimum of 150 words when you respond to one of your classmates' posts. You're going to want to use the terms in the language, and you might want to mention something in your post that you learned from the module that relates to what your classmate wrote about. You could talk about something that stood out in one of the videos in relationship to what your classmate wrote. So these are just suggestions to help you with that process. And then these are the artworks that, you can compare any of Solo Witt's work to Vincent van Gogh if you'd prefer, but these are the ones that I'm suggesting. And so these are just some of the artworks that were discussed. So it should be a really interesting discussion post with lots of different ways to talk about this concept of line and how artists use it. Thanks for listening.